Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are reading from the book Meditation and Spiritual Life by Swami Yatiswarananda. We are in chapter 21, some practical hints on meditative life. And we are commencing the section called Turn to God Alone Always. Let every prick, every blow, every kick we get in the world force us towards the divine and remind us of the unreality of the world. Thereby, all our disappointments, all our miseries become blessings. If you have any burden, bring in the divine current and ventilate the whole atmosphere. It is good sometimes to let out steam when a large quantity of it has accumulated, but let even that be only towards the divine. You can scold him as your friend, your playfellow, your comrade, if you want to. He is so near you if you really know how to get in touch with him. And he is not at all offended if you speak freely to him. You see, one great and very important task in spiritual life is to establish an intimate relationship with the divine. A spiritual aspirant should depend on God alone under all circumstances. In the beginning, he may take the help of men and institutions, but he should in due course learn to draw his inspiration more and more from the divine. When we feel miserable, the whole mind is upset. But even when we feel great pain, we should say, yes, my mind and my body are feeling these, but myself cannot be touched by them. Myself cannot be imprisoned by them. Always, at all times, assert the glory, the freedom of your soul. When men of realization feel miserable, they just stand as the witness. They can at once give a higher turn to their mind and remain unaffected under all circumstances. Our ability to feel the indwelling spirit in our own hearts is to be strengthened. Let all our thoughts and feelings be directed towards this divine consciousness that is within us. Become aware of it. In the outside world, there is so much misery, so much frustration, so much distress and pain. And it will always be like that. The phenomenal world cannot exist without the pairs of opposites. In Sanskrit, we call these dvandhas. So there will always be good and evil, misery and pain. Never will there be unchanging happiness. This situation can never be changed. All that you can do is to cling to the Lord all the more and develop a spirit of genuine self-surrender to Him. This is the only way to peace and blessedness. It is not an escape, but an actual heightening of all your faculties of perception and feeling. It is a practical solution. All these outside troubles you are constantly complaining about, all these tensions in the world that are likely to lead to battles and world wars, should force us to seek God, who alone is the repository of peace. Let all our miseries and our troubles and disappointments constantly remind us of the ephemeral nature of the world. There is nothing in this world that will give us security. Let us not expect any pleasure, any happiness from the world. God is the only source of strength to us. Let His will be done. Let us become united with Him. This should be the attitude of a genuine spiritual aspirant. Next section, need for simplicity. Be straightforward in all your dealings. Give up hypocrisy and conceit. Be childlike, not childish. But be reserved and aloof in the company of worldly people in a dignified way without being haughty. You can be full of sympathy for others in an impersonal way and yet be aloof and reserved and not allow them to come near you in a personal way. Everything becomes simple the moment we become simple. We should live like angels, like true children of God. We should learn to combine the simplicity and purity of a child with the maturity and wisdom of a grown-up man. You should not open your heart to all, but should open it to pure and spiritual souls. There is no need to wash your dirty linen in public. Bad people take advantage of your confessions and turn them against you to make your life miserable. But you can always open your heart to a wise elder, to one who is already well established in the spiritual path and has experienced its difficulties himself. You should never open it to wrong and worldly people. Turn to your ishtam when you are in difficulties if there is no one whose experience to turn to. Worldly people cannot give you advice at all. One of the great causes of sorrow is to listen to the advice of fools. They do not know themselves, so how can they help you? Even if they are well intentioned, they cannot give you any sound advice about spiritual matters which affect your whole life. Another sense is needed for that which the worldly minded do not possess. Their mirrors are too dirty to reflect the light, or if they reflect it at all, the picture is so blurred and distorted that only confusion can be the result. Next section. First, be a true gentleman. This is a very important point. Before you can become a spiritual man or woman, you must become a gentleman or a gentlewoman in the real sense of the term. Only gentlemen and gentlewomen can become spiritual men and women. I always tell people again and again, before becoming a devotee, before even thinking of taking up spiritual life, see that you become a gentleman or a gentlewoman. And the devotee is able to be a gentleman or a gentlewoman when he or she is established, at least to some extent, in the preliminary practices leading to spiritual life. Sometimes we find people behaving in a most undignified, uncultured way. Very often grown-up people behave like children. Childhood must be outgrown. Sometimes people remain ill-mannered and undignified all their life because they're not able to have the right adjustment, the right attitude. It is the after effect of a faulty childhood. It is the result of stunted growth. I often advise people to read Dale Carnegie's books, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and How to Stop Worrying and Start Living before they begin spiritual life. Many of our problems have nothing to do with spiritual life. They are just problems caused by our wrong attitudes and conduct. It is not enough that strangers know that we are good, but we should also see that those who are near us know us to be good and perfectly controlled. It is very easy to show a nice smiling face to strangers. We should always value the opinion of those near us more than that of others whom we only see once in a while. Next section. Learn to be patient. Intolerance and bigotry only show that the person has never had any spiritual experience or even firm faith. That is the attitude of an atheist who clings desperately to some dogma because deep within him he is unable to conquer his own doubts consciously. Those who have true faith are sympathetic towards all and do not feel jealous of other pious and sincere souls. Religious swashbuckling is a sure sign of religious hypocrisy. A spiritual aspirant must learn to be patient and forbearing under all circumstances. Things do not take shape according to our wish. Unpleasant and unfavorable situations have to be faced. You cannot expect to have favorable conditions for meditation always, especially in modern cities. Learn to make the best use of the time and the environment you find yourself in. We must learn to live in harmony with the environment. The cause of anger lies in the disharmony within. A man first becomes angry with himself before he becomes angry with others. Hating oneself is as bad as hating others. It is the root cause of so many problems, as modern psychologists have shown. The channels connecting the soul with the divine often get clogged. These must be cleared. Otherwise, it will lead to disharmony within and troubles with others. Those who are in tune with the divine are always in harmony. Don't be restless. Apart from physical and mental restlessness, there is a kind of subconscious restlessness. The person himself may not be aware of it. Such unconscious restlessness drains away a lot of energy. Next section. Stop complaining. People often complain that they have not achieved anything, even after long years of spiritual practice. If you analyze their minds, we will know that almost all the time they think on these lines. I pray and do japa, but there is no result. Now, instead of spending energy on such thinking, if they had concentrated their minds on God, it would have been far more useful. Thinking constantly of this quote unquote I, we become egocentric. We think we alone are devotees. Devotees should be very careful in this. If they do not root out this I consciousness in the initial stages, it will be very difficult to do so later. That is why the Holy Mother Sharada Devi said, it is egotism to try to judge one's own spiritual progress. Leave the fruit of your sadhana to God. Offer everything you do to Him. Connect all your work with the Divine in some way or other. Do everything for Him. Do all the duties of life that you are expected to do, but the central thought should be about God. Great results will come to you if you stick to this practice. There is no miracle or magic in spiritual life. It is very simple, but difficult. Go on repeating the name of God, the mantra you have been given by your Guru. You may repeat it loudly when you are alone. The best method is mental repetition and listening to it. Fill your mind with its vibrations. The divine name has great power, but it is potential. Constant practice will make this power manifest itself. Constant repetition will drive the mantra into deeper layers of the mind where it will work to prevent the rising of bad thoughts. You can see for yourself the great effects of a thoroughgoing practice of constant japa. Don't create unnecessary discontentment. Some people seem to thrive on tension. When they have nothing to worry about, they create some new ones. Then they brood over them and increase them. The monkey has an itch. It scratches. Then there is a small wound. It goes on scratching. It makes the wound a big ulcer. Is not our case similar to this? We magnify our troubles out of all proportion by brooding over them. Instead of that, why not go on brooding over the Lord? Sorrow and suffering cannot be avoided in life. Every man has a share of these. If some people are happy, it is because they have learned to outgrow these. Some people feel like committing suicide. Does it solve their problems? The problems can only be shifted to another plane because the soul continues to exist even after the body is destroyed. It has to face the problems all the same. Ending one's life in an unnatural way means loss of so much of valuable time, valuable opportunities to learn and improve oneself. So, it is better to give up such stupid thoughts. Sometimes the mind is in a good mood. That is because of a preponderance of sattva guna in it. But this is not permanent. The gunas are constantly changing. That is the law of nature. So sometimes rajas and tamas predominate in your mind. You may then feel restless or perfectly dull. All this is unavoidable. But by repeating God's name and leading a moral life, you favor the rise of sattva in you. Then you feel happy and peaceful. By practice, this mood can be made more lasting and stable. Next section. Establish harmony, inner and outer. Unless the spiritual ideal is very strong, the mind is likely to be blank. Repeat the divine name and remember the Lord. This will remove the negative mood. We have our temperament and affinities. That is the reason why we cannot feel free with everybody. That is natural. But it is also possible to rise above this nature as we evolve spiritually. The greatest obstacles to meditation are our own mental impurities, desires and passions, tendencies and impressions based on our clinging to our and other personalities. The remedy is to awaken our spiritual consciousness and think that we are the Atman, manifestation of the Paramatman. The subtle body interpenetrates the physical body and also permeates it. It is both inside and outside it. Similarly, the Atman, individual consciousness, is both inside and outside the subtle and physical bodies. The infinite spirit interpenetrates and permeates all beings and things. The chakra is a point of contact of the physical and subtle bodies and of the soul and the Paramatman. As we move from the physical to the subtle and then to the soul, the figure appears to be like this. Innermost, soul or causal body. Intermediate, subtle body. Outermost, physical body. But in reality, it is like this. The soul or the Karana Sharira, the causal body, outermost. The subtle body, intermediate. The physical body, innermost. The soul, and more so, the Paramatman, is subtler than the subtlest and vaster than the vastest. Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. So what is Anu, subtle, is also Mahat, vast. Meditating on the embodiment of Satchidananda, be one with it and share the divine love and bliss with everybody. This is how our life is to be made fuller, sweeter, a blessing to ourselves as well as others. First of all, bring about a transformation in your own life, at least to some extent, through regular sadhana, and then take up the ideal of, quote, work and worship, unquote. Only you should take care that you do not take up more work than you can joyfully do. Pray to the indwelling spirit for light and guidance. I know only one way of finding peace, and that is through spiritual practices, prayer and meditation. That is what I can suggest to every one of you. The restlessness and emptiness that an aspirant feels can be removed only through contacting the Divine Spirit, who is the soul of our soul and the soul of all beings. This communion is attained in due course by following the spiritual path, by consecrated action and loving devotion to the Supreme Spirit. If spiritual life does not make devotees considerate and kind to others, then what is the use of such a life? We should all remember the characteristics of the ideal bhakta described by Bhagavan Sri Krishna in the Gita and try to follow in his footsteps. He who hates no creatures and is friendly and compassionate towards all, who is free from the feelings of I and mine, and remains even-minded in pain and pleasure, who is forbearing, ever content, and steady in meditation, who is self-controlled, possessed of firm conviction, and has mind and intellect fixed on me. He who is thus devoted to me is dear to me. This is from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, verses 13 and 14. I will read that now. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitrah karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankaras samadukkha sukha kshami. And the translation: the one who has no hatred for all beings, who has the disposition of a friend, who is compassionate, free from possessiveness, free from doership, equal in pleasant and unpleasant situations, and indeed one who is naturally accommodative. Sloka 14. Santushtas satatan yogi yatatma dhrida nischayah mayyarpita mano buddhir yo madbhaktas same priyah. The one who is completely satisfied, who is always united, who has mastery over his mind, whose ascertainment is firm, whose mind and intellect are resolved on me, who is my devotee, is beloved to me. Take care that you don't tax your brain too much and loosen any screw. Regular practice alone can give us concentration. And in the beginning, this is to be done whether the mind is in the proper mood or not. Don't worry if the mind is restless. To the extent the theme for meditation becomes more interesting than anything else, the mind would love to dwell on it. Such is the power of the divine name that along with meditation, it produces harmony in the body and the mind, and also quickens right understanding and creates greater interest in spiritual theme. We should all bear in mind that those who really and truly follow the spiritual path are less egocentric and more selfless, kind and considerate towards others. We have to be givers and not beggars. The more we succeed in doing this, the more we feel free, joyous, and peaceful. It is enough if you regard Him as your all in all. To me, He is the soul of my soul and also everything else. I do not want to cling to my personality or form, and even to the form of my Ishta Devata, but I try to feel that I am a soul ever in touch, ever in tune with the soul of my soul, with the soul of all souls. It is this infinite spirit that takes the form of the Ishta Devata. Realize this through japa and meditate on His blessed form. We need not be too rigid in our timings and duration of spiritual practice. Let us do all we can, being relaxed in body and mind, but always taking care not to be cheated by the lower mind. Instead of doing japa and meditation for hours together, it is better to have breaks with study or even doing a little useful physical work. It is only when we get a glimpse of the infinite that we shall be able to understand something of the glory of the Divine Personality. What does one know of the wave unless one knows something of the ocean? How can one comprehend a limited space without an idea of the infinite space, or a ray of light without some knowledge of the infinite light? The procedure for meditation is this. Think that your heart is filled with the light of your soul, which permeates your mind and body, both inside and outside, and next think that it is a part of the luminous infinite spirit which shines everywhere. Merging your body, mind, and the whole world into it, think that you are a little sphere of light, part of the infinite spirit. This formless meditation may not appeal to you, and even if it does, it is difficult to do it for a while, for long. So think that your soul puts on a pure mental body and a pure physical body, and that the Paramatman takes the form of your Ishta Devata. Repeat the mantra of your Ishtam and meditate on his luminous form. Think that he who manifests himself as your Ishta Devata is none other than the infinite spirit shining everywhere. That concludes chapter 21, some practical hints on meditative life. We will continue in the next section. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.